The second verb that we designed into the social agent is called follow. Now, follow actually I think is both trendy but also a very good word. It's a very powerful word. And the reason why is because it's essentially how the web works. You know, you kind of like follow your nose across the web. You find interesting things, and wherever you go, you can essentially track information for as long as you want to. And when you're done following something, of course, you can unfollow it and leave it behind. This is a little bit different than the verb subscribe, which currently is how we think of consuming information over time in the browser. In fact, currently the browser, of course, has this notion of subscriptions using conventional feeds on the web, but that model is actually inherited directly from the newspaper industry in so many respects. I mean, it came from blogging, but it also came from the New York Times adopting various technologies. And follow, of course, being innovated by Twitter and then picked up by a number of other sites, seems to be a very good sticky word for describing the action of, you know, tracking what somebody, something, someone, some social object, you know, is doing. And it goes beyond just articles. It allows you to follow someone's actions, their favorites, their likes, the movies that they've uploaded, and so on. So follow takes on a number of different forms, and we're going to start with the idea of following people. All right, so let's clean out our browser and start over from scratch. Here we are at our trusty old home page. We're going to go ahead and load up a new window/tab here for a person's home page that we recently saw when we went to a coffee shop. In fact, this person's art was on the wall, and so you want to go check out and see what this person's all about. So we're going to go ahead and visit jezburrows.com. And so here we go. We're on the website now, and what's interesting here is that you can see that Jez provides a feed of all of this artwork, but also a link to the profile, to the blog, to a Flickr account, and to Twitter. Now, all those things are on the page there. They're ready for the browser to sort of make sense of, but in the conventional idea of subscribing, only the feeds that were linked to from this page would be available to you. So the social agent is smart enough to be able to identify different links on this page as being other aspects of this person's profile. And when you click the follow button, you're now able to follow different types of information based on activity streams. So if I'm really interested in this person on Twitter, I follow their status updates. If I'm interested in their photos and new artwork, great, I can do that here. Blog posts, you get the idea. So this makes it very easy for me to tune into the things that are much more relevant to me and be very explicit about what I care about. In fact, I think it's very hard to sort of make assumptions about the types of content that people are most interested in when they follow new people. So this makes it very clear what I want to tune into. Okay, great. So once I've chosen the things that I want to follow, I now have the ability to add Jez to some lists. So as you can see here, I can put her in the random list, or I can add her to Nerdcore if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave it random right now. I might go back to this at some later point. And of course, now I have a little gearbox that allows me to edit the subscription or unfollow Jez. So that's how you follow a person. Well, what about sites? Well, let's take a look. So here we are in Jez's page again. I'm going to load up a new tab, a new sort of window or whatever. I'm going to go to Engadget because I like reading that content. I'll visit that home page, and here we are. You'll notice that there is a connect button in the top right. I'm not going to get into that right now, but this page does allow you to log in and register for conventional browsers, but it also provides a way for the social agent to automatically sign me in here. And what's also interesting is that if you look down below the header of Engadget, you can see that there's a follow link there for Twitter, and there's also a subscribe link for RSS feeds. Well, again, the social agent is smarter than the average browser. So it is going to make available that information to me automatically. So if I click follow on Engadget, what you're going to see is that I can subscribe to their status updates from Twitter. I can subscribe to articles that come from the posts, or something that the site actually tells the browser is also available are specific posts by specific authors. And the descriptions here for these different follower classes actually come directly from the feed titles in the page itself. So if you go to Engadget and you take a look at the feeds that are available, you would see those different feeds. So this is kind of a nice way for publishers to be able to offer more variety or more specific vertical content rather than providing everything in one big feed. This gives people, I think, a little more control over the information that they consume once again, and if they have specific topics or authors that they want to keep track of, this is how they would do that. All right, so once again, the same familiar mechanisms for sorting this information, just like before. Now, follow is a little awkward because it doesn't quite deal with apps directly, but nevertheless, we need to have some way of bringing apps into the social agent that makes some sense. So let's go ahead and let's load up a new tab, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 280 Slides slideshow editor. So I bring this up, brought right into the application because the social agent is geared towards web apps. It knows how to interact with them. We got a nice icon up there. Now, of course, instead of following an app, the difference here is that we can star an app. Now, following and starring, they're, sort of two sides of the same thing. But in this case, starring is essentially an alternative word for installing. Of course, with web apps, you never install anything. You kind of bookmark them, but I'm kind of done with the idea of bookmarking things. So let's just call it star. Great. So let's presume that we've gone ahead and starred this application. Now it will show up in my home screen when I connect to this social agent again. What's also interesting about web apps is that they should be able to provide a list of the different functions or verbs that they support. So as you can see here, right below Star This App, the Star This App button, there's new, open, import, save, feedback, and login. Well, all of those verbs are things that essentially the social agent should be able to pick up in some sort of manifest, some kind of list of actions that the browser can take. And it provides them to the user as part of the interface. Now, of course, there's some question as to whether or not the web app itself should provide native UI for this, whether or not it's better geared towards that. But for example, if I want to create a new application, new web app, and I want to be able to pull in the current user's photos, I want them to be able to open or import stuff from someplace else. I don't necessarily want to build all the user interface widgets for that, especially if the social agent can do it for me. So that's kind of the use case that we're thinking about, where you can have this gear menu here that has a bunch of actions that the app can take. All right. So the next thing that I want to show, are social objects and how the social agent deals with objects that are found on the web that have feeds or that have additional metadata in them or available to them that exist in the web but might not be in the file itself. So the idea is to be able to link together all the different things that you interact with on the web in a consistent way. So let's go back to 280 Slides here. And instead of creating a new window, a new container or collection, what we're going to do is we're going to add a new tab to this mix here, okay? Because this is becoming sort of a workspace. So we decided that we want to create a new slideshow using 280 Slides, and we're going to go ahead and add a new tab. So I hit Command T. What you can see here is I've got another search box here. I'm going to go ahead and load up Flickr. I'm taken to my Flickr account where you can see I'm connected. I'm following people here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to perform a search. All right, so actually before I do that, I'm going to minimize that tab bar up there, get that out of the way a little bit. Now I'm going to do my search. And I'm going to search for Firefox. Okay, and in the results here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to find an image. Let's say this actual image of a red panda, which is what a Firefox is. I'm going to go and click on that. And now I want to be able to use this image in the slideshow that I'm creating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to click on the share button so I can actually select the image. So here we go. I've got my share dialog going as you've seen before. I'm going to go ahead and pick that image. It automatically grabs onto that, and I'm going to drag this into the 280 Slides tab. So here I am dragging, 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 dragging. Okay. And now the 280 Slides app takes focus. I'm going to drag this image into 280 Slides. Now what's significant about this is, again, this is a web app. So it looks like Keynote, it looks like PowerPoint. This is all made with open web technologies. So what I've done here is I've taken an image that exists on the web, that exists on Flickr.com, and I've dragged it from that place to another web app. Now, what's also interesting about this, you can see in the bottom right there's this little information button. When I click that button, what happens is I'm shown the source of this image. So this is all kinds of interesting web data that is available to me that allows me to have some sense for where this information came from. So if there are more views, or if the license changes, or what have you, this would be a way for me to keep track of that information across different web apps.